When it's an international break and your side's not playing, you're really searching around trying to find something to do that's going to reduce the boredom. So what was I going to pick? I thought about doing another rankings video. But when I sat down and started going through all 24 clubs and looking into how they've been doing, my goodness, that was boring me to tears and was doing no good at all at reducing my levels of boredom. So I had to come up with something a little less boring. Shit, scratch that. I shouldn't really say less boring. And what I mean by that is exciting and riveting and 100% meaningful. So I thought I'd do a predictions video of sorts. What I did was I entered score predictions in for all of the remaining games in Sky Bet League One, and we're going to have a look and see where that leaves us in the table. I'll tell you what, entering in score predictions for all the games, oh my goodness, that does make you realise what a slog a football season is. And when you start celebrating being in the automatic promotion places or being in the playoff places after 10, 11, 12 games, it really does make you realise there is a heck of a long way to go. Shit, wait again, Oxford are in second place. I shouldn't really say that, should I? You realise that basically everything is done and dusted, and whoever is in place now is absolutely guaranteed to stay in those places, unless it's Oxford, and they'll probably jump one place higher. Ultimately, it's just a little bit of fun, and it's just something to do while this international break was on. But it's kind of interesting to see where I think the sides will end up. But, you know, a lot of the time you're just entering in these score predictions and you're pretty much on autopilot. So, again, even at the end of that, it was quite fascinating to see what I came up with. Would there be magnificence for Oxford United, or would it all fall away into miserable failure? We will see, but let's have a look first at how the league looks at the moment. You've got a mismatch of teams that have played different numbers of games. Some have played 12, some played 11, a couple have played 13. There were some games today, of course. We've got Pompey leading the way, but those beautiful, sexy yellow bastards in second place behind them. And then league kind of taking shape, interesting shape behind that. And then obviously down the bottom you've got Cheltenham Town side really struggling, and then the likes of Wigan and Reading with their points deductions are struggling as well. But let's move it forward now and let's jump through time, because the next table I'm going to bring you is going to be how the table is going to look on Christmas Day. Couple of notable points along the way. A much beleaguered Cheltenham Town, I have them down as getting their first win this month on the 21st of October. I think they will get a 2-1 win over Cambridge. And then there's a big game between the top two. Oxford United at home to Portsmouth will probably be called off because of an international break again, which is a shame. But if that one isn't, and if it is played, then I've got Oxford winning it by 3-2. Am I biased? I'll let you decide. Merry Christmas to you all, and here is the table on Christmas Day. You've still got the top two in place, and you've still got Pompey ahead by a point, but they're level on games now, so it's Pompey on 51, Oxford on 50. You've seen a resurgent Derby storm up the table to get into 44 points, and then Wycombe Wanderers, the dirty chairboys, up into 4th place on 42 points. Barnsley and Bolton, probably most people would have had them in and around the playoffs this season. Down the bottom, you've got Wigan, Reading, Fleetwood and Cheltenham. Cheltenham picked up a few more points, but still in that bottom spot. Fleetwood not really improved much either, and Wigan and Reading still trying to scramble their way to safety with those points deductions. So after Christmas, we have Boxing Day, and obviously one of the biggest days on the football calendar. So I just thought I'd put in my arbitrary scores that I put for Boxing Day, and as you can see there, I've got Bristol Rovers shocking Portsmouth with a 2-1 win, Blackpool getting a win over Burton, Cheltenham with a very good 1-0 win over Shrewsbury, 2-2 draw Exeter and Wycombe, Stevenage good at home, 3-0 win over Northampton, Fleetwood kicking up a vital win as well, 1-0 over Carlisle, Leyton Orient 1, Charlton 1, Lincoln 2, Bolton 1, it's a bit of a shock there, Oxford getting revenge on their varsity rivals. 2-0 win over Cambridge, Peterborough 2-0 win over Reading, Barnsley a win away at Port Vale, and Derby getting a nice win at Wigan with a 3-1 win. No doubt celebrating with a Christmas Wigan kebab. Happy New Year to you all. 2024 starts with Portsmouth and Oxford in those top two spots. Again, nothing between the two of them, just that single point. Derby in third place on 51, hunting them down. Barnsley have jumped up into fourth. Bristol Rovers jumped up into fifth, and Bolton in sixth means Wycombe have dropped out of the playoffs, but still very tight in that, the teams behind the playoff picture, like your Wycombe, Lincoln, Stevenage. Kind of feel I've got Lincoln a little bit high in that one. I feel like I've just gone through and thought, well, there's never really too many high scoring games. 1-0, 0-0, 1-0, 0-0. Seems to be paying dividends for them. But down the bottom, it's the same four teams again: Reading, Wigan, Fleetwood and Cheltenham. Next, we're going to jump forward to Easter time, and Easter obviously is going to be end of March, start of April, and we're going to have a look at what these fixtures, what the table is going to look like on Easter Monday, which is also April Fool's Day. So let's have a look at what I've done for the scores on Easter Monday. You've got Wycombe, getting a 1-1 draw away at Blackpool. Bolton 2-1 win over Reading. Bristol Rovers, another big win at home for them over Shrewsbury. Burton, big win for them over Barnsley, 1-0. Cambridge with a big win as well over Wigan. Carlisle 0, Lincoln 0. As I say, every Lincoln game seems to be a low-scoring affair in my mind. Charlton with a good win, 2-1 against Stevenage. Cheltenham with a big win as well, 3-2 over Exeter, still keeping that relegation hopes alive. Peterborough 2-0 over Leyton, or 2-1 over Leyton Orient. Northampton with a win at home to Port Vale. Oxford, you beautiful yellow bastards, with a 3-0 win over Fleetwood. Might condemn Fleetwood to the bottom of the table, that one. And then a top of the table clash, Portsmouth versus Derby. We've got that ending in a 2-2 draw. So look where that leaves this table. Oh my goodness, it's almost like I'm an Oxford fan and I have rigged it. But Oxford are on top of the table. They flipped it around, and Portsmouth have actually dropped back into third place, with Barnsley taking up second place. This is only 4 games out as well, so if this is the case, it is unbelievable squeaky bum time. Look at that top tier, those top 5 teams: 87, 86, 83, 83, 83. You've got 5 sides genuinely fighting it out for promotion. That would be intense and incredibly exciting, and incredibly scary from an Oxford United point of view. But it is the Yellows leading the way on 87 points. Barnsley in second. Portsmouth, Derby, Bolton and Charlton make up the playoff picture, with the others kind of falling behind a little bit: Wycombe, Peterborough, Lincoln, Bristol Rovers, Blackpool. Then a bit of steady eddies in mid-table, and we look down into that bottom of the table, and Reading have climbed out of the drop zone. You obviously don't know if they might get more points deductions as it goes on, but as it stands, I've just done with the ones they've got. Wigan still in there, and you've obviously still got Fleetwood and you've got Cheltenham, but nobody, well, Cheltenham kind of cut adrift, 9 points down, but the others will still think they could claw their way out of it. But not many games left to survive, not many games left to get into the playoffs. The next one we're going to look at is the penultimate round of games. So this is the 20th of April, the second to last round of fixtures in Sky Bet League 1, and we've got Blackpool 2, Barnsley 2, huge one at the top of the table there. Bolton 3, Port Vale 0, another huge one. Bristol Rovers 2, Peterborough 1, Burton 1, Reading 0, Cambridge 0, Derby 2. So all those top sides apart from Barnsley getting wins so far. Carlisle 1, Wycombe 1, Charlton 2, Shrewsbury 1, Cheltenham 0, Lincoln 0. That might mean Cheltenham are down. Leyton Orient 2, Fleetwood 1. It might also mean Fleetwood are down. Northampton 2, Exeter 0, Oxford 3, Stevenage 2, Portsmouth 2, Wigan 1. Oops, again, a big win over Stevenage there. No doubt he will blame everything under the sun for that defeat, but Pompey's still going strong as well. And this is where it leaves us. You've still got 4 clubs who can get promoted, although Derby's goal difference means it will be incredibly unlikely, so ultimately it's going to be those top 3. Barnsley lead the way, 93 points on goal difference from Oxford United on 93 points, with Portsmouth on 92 behind them. None of the sides outside of the playoffs can catch the ones inside it. So you've got Charlton, Bolton, Derby, Portsmouth, Oxford, Barnsley, all at least guaranteed a playoff spot. Down the bottom of the table, you have a this is really tense, isn't it? From 17 down, Carlisle 44 points, Reading 43, Cambridge 42, Northampton 42, Wigan and Shrewsbury 41. Fleetwood down, Cheltenham down already with 1 game to go. Not really probably too many surprises from what we've seen there, and probably that's where the bias has kicked in. I haven't really taken into account any freaks of form that you might get. But that is where we've got the penultimate game of the season. Oxford in 2nd place in the table. We're going to do it, boys. What could possibly go wrong?
Where nothing can possibly go wrong. Possibly go wrong. That's the first thing that's ever gone wrong.
Oh, look at that. Oh my goodness. You maniacs.
Watch this, Lise. You can actually pinpoint the second when his heart rips in half. And now.
This was me putting random scores in all the way through. Not random scores, but putting the scores in all the way through. I wasn't even looking at the league table. So when this came out, it was quite... I just thought, oh, okay, Oxford finished 3rd. And then I obviously went back and looked at where different stages that would put them. And, yeah, that would be pretty gutting. Oh, my God. If that did happen, that would be devastating. But that is how... According to my predictions, how League One is going to go. It is Oxford with a big choke job on the final weekend. Barnsley 96, Portsmouth 95, Oxford 94, and Derby ending up on 93. So Oxford, Derby, Bolton, Charlton. That looks an unbelievably tough playoff picture. Barnsley, Portsmouth cruise up to the Championship. And down in the bottom... We obviously knew Cheltenham and Fleetwood were down, but they're joined by Northampton and Cambridge. And look at that, 4 sides above them, all finishing on 44 points. A really low points tally this year to stay up. Wigan and Reading do survive, along with Carlisle and Shrewsbury, which means Cambridge and Northampton go down. So just did it the other way around this time, because I wanted to show that dramatic league table. But let's have a look at what I did for those fixtures. So... You've got Derby and beating Carlisle by 2-0. You've got Exeter getting a 2-2 draw against Oxford. So that is where Oxford choke and can't get the job done down on the south coast on the final day of the season. Barnsley with an easy win over Northampton. Reading and Blackpool 1-1. Stevenage and Cheltenham 2-0 win for Steve Evans' boys. Fleetwood 1, Burton 1, Lincoln 1, Portsmouth 2, and I bet you that was a last minute Pompey goal in there as well. You could just see it. I can just see all those devastated Oxford players on the pitch. Why am I doing that to myself? I don't know. But hey, it is what it is. I guess kind of maybe I just could not bring myself to psychologically to put Oxford promoted automatically. But Peterborough won 2-1 against Bolton. Port Vale 1-0 winners over Cambridge, which put Cambridge down. Shrewsbury 2-0 win over Leyton Orient. Wigan 2-1 win over Bristol Rovers. And Wycombe with a 3-0 win over Charlton. So let's go back to that league table one more time, and that's just how I've got League One finishing, just by putting in random scores at this stage of the season. Look, it's gonna, if it does finish like that, we're in for an incredibly exciting season. It will be heartbreaking for me and all you Oxford United fans out there, but you know, that's how these seasons can play out. Last season we had a pretty close title race. It looks like we're going to be in for one again, and a pretty close relegation scrap down the bottom as well. Look, this was just for fun, ultimately pretty meaningless, but let me know your thoughts down below. And if you can hit like on this video, that does help me out. And if you like the content, think about subscribing. But I'll be back with more regular content with my Oxford United reviews from next weekend with that home game against Blackpool. Thanks very much for watching. I'll be back very soon.